Hello everyone, I'm Vampire218 and I am bringing you my draft analysis for the Infinity Draft League. It's a new league that myself and 10 other members of the House Infinity are a part of. It will have been explained within the announcement video of what's going on, so I'm going to jump into my draft in the order that I drafted them. So the first mon I drafted was Florges, and I picked Florges because I've realized that there are very few and far in between fairy types, and a lot of the good fairy types like to go early. So I wanted to get a fairy type that I knew could be a special wall, I knew could do immense damage, and had pretty good coverage. So, this thing can set up through Calm Minds. It can do damage for grass. It can do damage for fairy. It can be a cleric. It can do a couple other things as well. It can heal. It can wish. It's a really good setup mon, and it's integral to get a good fairy for a fairy steel dragon core. So my next pick was Cobalion. Now, Cobalion's a really interesting pick because it has the fighting and the steel type. And it has justified, meaning not only does it resist the dark types, but when it gets hit, it raises its attack by 1 stage. Now, this is really good. I really wanted to synergize Florges and Cobalion here because, Florges can take a fairy hit pretty okay. Cobalion takes it neutral because of the steel typing, but, there are some things like ground type moves that Cobalion really doesn't want to take. So you're going to see with the next mon that I choose, what I did with that. But I chose Cobalion here because if you look at Cobalion's stats, it's a pretty good on the defense. It's pretty fast, but also, it gets really good coverage. It gets Calm Mind if I wanted to bring it special. It gets good fighting moves, good special moves. It gets priority. It gets things to kill fairies. It gets things to kill grass. It gets roar. It gets rock polish, sacred swords, stealth rock, taunt. This thing can put in work. The next mon I picked was trying to finish off my Dragon Steel Fairy core, but also mitigate some of the ground weaknesses that Cobalion has, and I picked Latios. Now, I picked Latios because I prefer this for what I'm looking for in a dragon. It has a higher special attack stat than Latias, and that's really what I wanted. I wanted something that could come in and do a lot of damage, so I picked Latios. Now, this thing is going to mitigate the ground weakness from Cobalion because this thing is Levitate, but also Cobalion having that resistant to dark and justified will mitigate one of the major weaknesses of Latios. So I'm in a pretty good position right there, that a lot of the, weaknesses that I already have on my team are really covered in this core. And, moreover, Latios I can set up with Calm Minds. I get defog, I get some good dragon moves. I could bring it physical, I can bring it special. I have a lot of good options. Heck, I could bring a cleric 1 week, or a setup, bring, Tailwind, Toxic, Trick, some shenanigans like that. Who knows? The next mon I picked, I really wanted to get something that can set up another type of hazard. So I figured, I have 1 rocker. Let's go for something that can set up webs, and I chose Galvantula. This guy is power. He is fast, he hits pretty hard, and he gets good coverage. I mean, he doesn't get the best in terms of everything, but he gets good bug moves, he gets good grass moves, he gets good, electric. He can set up a T-Wave, he can Sucker Punch, he can switch, and he can set up webs. And that's huge, that this thing has such good versatility and its speed. So I really am trying to, at this point, start setting up my speed tiers. I have 2 108s, a 110, and I think like a 54 over here. 75. So I'm really trying to set up my speed tiers at this point. I'm trying to get mons that are going to now fill in the gaps and, make this as good as it can be. Then at this point I realized, I don't really have anything that can get rid of hazards. And I need to start setting up my water, fire, grass core. So Tentacruel was the clear pick. Tentacruel has that poison typing, meaning that I can get rid of the toxic spikes if they get set up on me. It's relatively fast. It has a very good special defense stat, a good HP stat. It gets rapid spin, but moreover, it's got pretty good coverage. You know, it gets Hex, it gets Giga Drain, it gets Ice Beam, Hydro Pump. If I chose to bring it physical, I can use Knockoff, I can use Poison Jab. I get Magic Coat if I expect them to be shooting something at me. You know, this thing is very versatile in regards to that. It can set up toxic spikes if I need it to. It can rapid spin things away. So just a very good pick on my part to start off my Fire Water Grass core. The next mon, I realized, you know, I don't have a very hard physical hitter. I have Cobalion, which kind of can. I have, you know, quite a few special hitters, but I need to get those physical hitters in. So Darmanitan was the clear choice. A lot of the good physical hitting fire types had gone at this point. Entei had gone first round, Victini had gone first round. So, you know, Darmanitan is always really good. You know, 95 speed is not horrible. It is outsped by quite a few things, but, you know, 95 is going to outspeed quite a bit as well. Base 105 HP is huge because this thing is bulky. I can bring it Scarfed, I can bring it Banded, I have a lot of options here. Plus, its 140 attack with sheer force means that things like Flare Blitz are going to be doing massive damage. Now the next mon that I'm bringing here is Gourgeist. And I picked Gourgeist because I really needed a low tier grass type. And I was looking and I was thinking, oh, I'm planning out the rest of my draft here. I need a grass type. I also need a ghost type. So I was looking and it was either Trevenant in tier 4 or Gourgeist in tier 5. And I went with Gourgeist. And I went with Gourgeist because I was looking, and Gourgeist has 4 different forms, right? So if I want to bring a fast Gourgeist, I have that option. If I want to bring a bulky Gourgeist, I have that option, and that is huge. Combined with the fact that Gourgeist gets pretty good coverage, it gets pretty good utility, as well as having Magic Coat, as well as having Light Screen, as well as Leech Seed, and Synthesis, and Trick, and Will-O-Wisp. This thing can put in some work. So I'm really hoping that this, you know, will prove me wrong. I was really hesitant at taking a tier 5 grass type, but I'm really hoping that this thing will put in the work. The next mon, my favorite, my all-star, my PFL pick, I try and get this mon in every league, is Ditto. And this thing is just power. This thing is the answer to a lot of issues. Your opponent starts setting up, and sure, you sack one mon, you bring in Ditto, and you kill them. And that is huge. And then they have to deal with a Ditto. You can Scarf it, you can Band it, you can Specs it, you can do so many different things with Ditto. And Ditto is just one of the most versatile mons, in my opinion. At this point, I was really trying to round off my draft pick. I realized, you know, I really need another good tanky thing that can take things on both sides. So I chose Mandibuzz here. And I chose Mandibuzz for a few different reasons. One of them being it's got very good defenses. You know, its HP is 110, defense 105, special defense at 95. That's really good. You know, this thing gets good coverage in terms of its moves. If I want to bring it physical, I get Brave Bird, I get like Facade, I get Foul Play, things like that. Foul Play would just hit for their attack, you know, knock off. If I want to bring it setup, I get Nasty Plot if I'm going to bring special. But this thing can also be a utility. So, you know, I get Tailwind, I get Taunt, I get Toxic, I get Whirlwind, I get U-Turn for Pivot, Roost to heal. You know, this thing, Defog, this thing is really interesting in, you know, its versatility. And that's really what this pick was about for me, getting a bulky, versatile mon. Now, at this stage, I was picking my Mega, and I knew I wanted a Tier 2 Mega. And I knew I needed physical power. So I looked at what was left, and I realized, you know, Mega Absol was the answer. So Mega Absol is pretty fast. It hits like a truck. It gets a really good ability in Magic Bounce. But also, this thing gets Swords Dance. This thing can be a Wisher. This thing can throw out a Thunder Wave, a Will-O-Wisp, a Toxic. This thing can hit you with a taunt. This thing can do so much, and I'm really hoping to, you know, show off the power of Mega Absol in this league. The last Mon here, I really realized, you know, I have good power at this point. A lot of my Mons, though, other than, you know, Cobalion, Mandibuzz, and Florges, they don't really want to take a hit. I mean, Tentacruel, okay. So I went for more bulk, and I went for Porygon 2. And I went for Porygon 2 at this point because I realized I don't have a normal type. I want something that can block those ghost moves. So I chose Porygon 2 because Eviolite Porygon 2 is power. You know, I can run Download, I could run Analytic. You know, both of these are very strong. You know, even Trace can be useful in certain situations. So I'm really excited to be bringing you the Ontario Amistars, you know, draft analysis for season 1 of the Infinity Draft League. I really hope you're rooting for me, and, you know, let me know what you think of my picks. You gotta remember, this is the order in which they were picked, so, you know, sure, I would have rather gotten Victini, but that went before I even got to pick. So did Entei. So, you know, let me know what you think of my team. Hopefully you're rooting for me. If not, you know, let me know what I could have done better with my draft next time. Bye!